Okay, so here goes. Here is the easiest, quickest way to lower your anxiety and depression and heighten your mood and all of those things. I'm seeing a trend. I'm seeing a trend. It's fantastic that there is this new, invigorating, like focus on mental health. It's fantastic. It's like definitely the highest ever in history. This idea of putting focus on your mental health, that's a quality thing to do. Not only is it valid and needed, but it's a quality thing to do, and it's more mainstream to focus on that. People are realizing that mental health is health. So it's needed. Listen, all of that is awesome, but I'm starting to see a bit of a trend of when all of this focus is on anxiety, depression, its symptoms, how it affects us, and all this kind of stuff. The expectation of what normal is has absolutely shifted. And it used to be where normal was, oh, just suck it up, right? Like whatever's going on, like just suck it up, just get stronger. And of course, that is not healthy in any way. But now I'm feeling and seeing that full swing of the pendulum to the other side. And now what I'm hearing is more and more people are expecting to just never feel the stress, never feel heightened anxiety, heightened depression, um, sadness, mourning, like all of the big, uncomfortable stuff. So today we're just going to just take note for yourself and notice what is your actual expectation around your own mental health and emotional health. What is your expectation? Is it just suck it up? Everything is just what life brings you and you just have to learn how to cope with it? Is it, I should always be able to be happy and calm and focused and productive? Or is it somewhere in between? And one of the things, because here's an example, I'm hearing this from multiple clients, this idea of, coming to me because of like intense anxiety, social anxiety. Oh, I have this terrible social anxiety. And then when we start talking about it, it's like, yeah, I mean, I just got this new job and there's this new team and it's, this promotion. And I'm going into these presentations and I'm not 100% confident that I'm going to be able to answer the questions and I don't know what they're thinking of me. And so I get really nervous going into the meetings. And so realizing that's normal. That's not a heightened anxiety. That's not a clinical, like that's life, right? Until we do get to know the people on our team, until we do get to know what we're talking about and all of those things, it's normal and healthy. Hear that part too. It's healthy to be nervous when entering into a new situation. It is normal and healthy to be sad for an extended period of time when we've experienced a loss, be it a person in our lives or a situation. It is normal and healthy to experience all of the emotions, even the ones that we call negative, like anger or sadness or depression or anxiety or fear or whatever. It is a normal human and healthy reaction to learn how to feel all of the things. So here's the differentiator. How do you know when it's healthy and just human life, or is it an issue? It's an issue when it starts spreading through your entire life, not just certain situations, not just, work or home or where, when it starts spreading everywhere and when it lasts a long time. If it lasts longer than is expected for that particular emotion or that particular, thing to be happening to you. One way that you can figure out for yourself if it really is a huge issue, like if you have an anxiety issue, need a diagnosis, like need some real help or not, is ask yourself if your best friend, if your family member was coming to you with the story and they told you their situation, what do you think your reaction would be? Would it be, oh, well, that's normal. That's a normal reaction to what's happening. Of course, you're going to feel nervous under those circumstances. Or would you say, oh, yeah, you should definitely get some help for that? Really flip it and take some distance there and look at what your reaction would be if it was someone that you cared about coming to you with the same situation and how you think they should handle it. Now, just because these things are normal and healthy and expected and part of the human experience doesn't mean that you shouldn't be reaching out for help on how to, navigate these things when they come up, how to minimize the effects, how to combat it so that it doesn't bleed into your entire life or last a super long time. All of those things are valid. So listen, I'm not telling you don't get help. I'm not doing any of those things, but just a realistic view of, are these things really just part of the human experience and what happens when we interact with other human beings with their human experiences? Or is it a real issue? And the reason I would like you to differentiate between those two things is because the way in which we see the issue determines if it's going to snowball into something bigger or if we will just be able to handle each individual situation as they come. If we start telling ourselves that this is a huge thing and it keeps happening and it's getting worse, then it's going to. Or it's expected. Of course, I'm going to get nervous. So, just a personal, observation. So, some of you know, if you've read my book or if you know me, you know that I was a dancer in my former life. And so I've performed, literally hundreds of times in front of all different types of audiences, anywhere from, the sweet nursing homes that our dance studio would go and perform in front of, 15 or 20 people in the nursing homes, all the way up to selling, dancing in front of a sold out crowd on Radio City Music Hall stage. So, and everything in between, right? And so it's important to know that throughout all of my years of performing, out of my hundreds of times getting on stage, there were times where back when I was competing, I would compete 22 routines in 2 days, right? So we're talking a lot of performance. And I still, even with that experience, based on how well I knew the routine, how well I practiced it, who the judge or the audience was, if it was a strength of mine or if it was a type of dance that I wasn't quite as, didn't come as naturally to me. All of those factors, I would still get nervous each and every time before I went on stage. Now, I can't imagine that in the beginning, if I noticed that I got nervous every time before I went on stage, if I would have told myself, oh, this is performance anxiety. This is a huge problem. This is performance anxiety. Oh, what am I going to do? But I can't even, like, I probably wouldn't have been able to continue to do it the way I did. But what I did notice, because I went in objectively and just started to notice, and that once I started, then it kind of dwindled away, and then I enjoyed myself, and then I would be hungry for the next performance. So that's how I know. And again, I'm having people come to me saying that same pattern of, I get super nervous getting into it, and in the beginning of it, I get super nervous, and then if I'm doing well, then it dissipates, but if I stumble over my words, then I continue to be nervous throughout the presentation. That's expected, right? So it's not an issue to be like, medicated or something like that. Yes, let's talk about how to prepare better so that those things are minimized and all that kind of stuff. Let's talk about centering and how do we become calm in the moment even when we're anxious. But just going into it knowing this is a normal reaction, this is a healthy reaction based on what is in front of me. Yes, I'm going to get some help for it to minimize the effects of it, but not vilifying the emotion, not vilifying myself for feeling the emotion, because all that's going to do is make it get worse and worse and bigger and bigger. So that's where we are today. I invite you to take a look at your own complaints about yourself when it comes to your mental health or your emotional health. Take note of what are the biggest issues that you're concerned about, and really put them through that filter of, what would I tell my best friend? What would I tell my loved one? Is this as big of an issue as it feels, or is it just part of the human experience? And, I'll learn some ways to help minimize the feeling, but not erase it. It's way more important to learn how to feel these emotions and still live life than to learn how to stop from feeling them at all ever. All emotions are valid. All emotions have their place and have lessons for us. And this is the first step in realizing how to do that. Let me know what you think. And I look forward to chatting with you again next week. Bye.